Well, we have a fair amount to do, so let's get going. Susan, would you mind calling the roll, please?
Absolutely. Mayor Grandy?
Here.
Commissioner Light? Commissioner England? Commissioner Malone?
Here.
Commissioner Wheeler?
Here.
All right. We do have a quorum, so I'm going to call the Friday, June 5th meeting back into session, which was recessed last Friday, and we will now consider some recommendations. We have, I think we might just start with an overview, probably, of the changes that were made based on recommendations from the Friday meeting. And so, Mitch, you want to get us started with that? And then we'll go maybe then after that to the general fund first.
I will. And I don't think that I included this in the information I shared with the budget committee yesterday, my oversight. If it was in there, I've just forgotten that I put it in there. But we actually grabbed the property assessment data from the assessor's office as of June the 3rd. And from the schedule on the screen right now,
Run it down. Join the meeting.
See that we actually increased up to $3,368,000,000 of assessed value. Point being is that we've actually, if you'll remember, we were only we were adding a very small percentage of, I think it was what, $300 to the penny. Well, it's moved up to $1,492, which for the general fund, you'll see in a minute, actually another $100,000, $119,000 of revenue. So that's a good thing. Fund balances, as you should see in your packet, with the infusion of $2 million into the general fund from debt service and capital projects, with the rollback of compensation, with the various other items that I alluded to in my email to you, we were able to actually get us within our target fund balance numbers. I think, as I mentioned, I think the challenge now is to judiciously determine what it is that you so choose to add back. And so I guess where we were wanting to go is, okay, well, so what's changed since the numbers on Friday? As of Friday, we're in the general fund, and we'll go through that and then address these other funds, unless somebody prefer to do something different. But as of Friday, we had $40.1 million budgeted of revenue. The increase in the assessed values are adding 119,000 to our revenue stream. We had, because we rolled salaries and whatnot back within the archives, and we use the archive, that's in essence a self-balancing department, which makes all this revenue neutral, but that actually took out $3,200 worth of revenue. It also took out $3,200 of expense. We did the same thing. We had some expense adjustments within the health department, the health department grant. That actually brought that grant revenue down 96,000. And I should say, we're not reducing the amount of grant. This is just the budgetary piece of it. We've actually budgeted the salary expenditures according to Kristen's payroll or her planned personnel under the grant. but we had to make some adjustments to the benefit side of that, the health insurance piece, the payroll taxes, and the pension contribution to get those aligned to what the actual numbers would be based on her budgetary salary numbers. And so that actually reduced 96,000, but at the end of the day, it will have no impact on the budget, because as those expenses go down, the grant revenue goes down. As those expenses go up, the grant revenue goes up. And then you can see the next three lines are our transfers from our debt service and capital projects funds. And then we do have to take out, in the actual budget numbers we're budgeting, you'll see revenue from the restricted reserve. We actually have to pull that out to get us back to where we to the budgeted revenue that's sitting in the system now. But anyway, bottom line is we're down to 42,085,000 in budgeted revenue, or up to, I should say. And then we jump in, we look at our expenditures, and I'll roll through these. If you want me to, if you've already read through them and you don't want any discussion of them, I'm fine. So I don't want to monopolize your all's time. I know last time we kind of went through every line item, and I don't know that that was what you all wanted to do. So
I've read them.
Yep.
I had reviewed them as well and just had a couple various questions, I guess.
Why don't you go ahead and just give your questions in?
Well, I didn't completely understand the use of the ETSU restricted reserve. I didn't completely understand that.
Well, maybe let's see if I can hang on a second.
I mean, that's not related to the Performing Arts Center, is it? No.
No, it is. It's the 100,000 that goes with the Performing Arts Center.
Okay.
I guess what I need to do is explain it this way. All right, on your screen before you, plug in the 42,085,247 number. Okay?
Right.
All right, now hang on, I got to switch screens. Get back to it. In order to keep this stuff so that it mathematically works. Okay. Okay.
So you're just saying the 100,000 had been restricted.
Yeah. What happened is, Commissioner Malone, it actually falls out in this estimated restricted amount. That goes. This number goes down by $100,000.
Okay.
Okay. And so to put it in here, we're counting it twice.
So it's really a wash.
Correct.
Okay. I think as I had quickly looked over this before, I think my only other question or concern, and we're showing with the transfers, we're showing a slightly higher budgeted revenue number than the expense. And so we may be able to work this out, I'm thinking. But the county attorney pay adjustment, that one
Steve, right?
concerned me a little bit. Just
Join the meeting.
It looks like we're wiping out all of that proposed adjustment. And I know there's the way we're restructuring things relative to a number of items, what we had engaged externally before and are now doing internally, including the items related to the environmental court. That one just concerned me.
Yeah, well, that one will have to go back and revisit, because it's based on, it actually goes back to the salary before the transition to, county attorney. So, yeah, and that's probably not the only place in there that we'll need to, come back in and make some adjustments. This puts us in a place where we can continue to work on it then.
Yeah, we just rolled all the employee salaries back to, what they are today, in essence.
Right.
I want to touch on that as well, though. That one, last year, we consolidated the full-time position into that staff attorney position, and the part-time county attorney was being paid approximately $225,000 a year, and that has become essentially all savings at this point. And Allison has taken on both of those roles for the most part. And we were paying other outside attorneys before, we're paying some now, but for the most part, she's taken on that responsibility. I'm worried about taking all that savings out of that outside counsel line item and the other line items that were affected and not making that adjustment. It's a large adjustment, but it's absolutely warranted given the responsibilities that she's taken on and the right sizing of government that took place with all that change last year. When this leaves us today, of course, it'll be published, it'll come back for a public hearing, and the commission is going to start taking some action on it. I'd like to see that one restored, and I think we can do that and still come out with a balanced budget. It's tight, but it's one that really, in my opinion, we probably should have taken, in hindsight, total hindsight here, but we should have taken care of that one outside the budget process. There's just no question that we have saved a lot more than we're talking about adding to that. And I don't want to be in a position where we potentially lose what we got there. And I just think we need to make that adjustment. So I'd like to see us restore that one today.
Okay, specifically, just back where we had it before. Is that what you're saying?
You just restore the 61,000 back. To
Yeah, but it needs to happen anyway.
And it'll give us maybe a truer picture then for the commission of the others are important too. I'm not trying to slight anybody, but that one I don't think we have any choice but to do. I certainly personally I have intended to try to see that happened again as to use Commissioner Malone's term that he's used often to right size county government in that department. I would make that a motion if that's necessary. Or do we just need a motion to approve all this with that change?
That's the way we handle it. Is that the only change either one anybody sees we need to make right now? I'm hearing, taking that as a yes.
So look, here, because when we add the 61,000 of salary expense back, then that'll also adjust, the benefits, the payroll tax contribution. So it'll be another $12,000 at 11.
And that still puts us within the current revenue number. So I'll make a motion to approve these changes. And I want to say that you all have done a tremendous amount of work over the weekend, and that ought to be recognized, both the mayor and Mitch, and appreciate that greatly on my part. But I'll make a motion that we approve those with that 61,000 restored.
And
That's a proper motion from Commissioner Wheeler. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Malone. Mitch, did you have something you wanted to add?
yeah, I was just going to say, and the corresponding benefit.
And the corresponding benefit.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry I missed that.
I'm doing it anyway. I just wanted to be sure that you guys are on board.
We have to have that anyhow. All right, any discussion on that? Okay, can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Grandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
and Commissioner White. I think he has joined us. Is he still on here, Susan? Do you know?
He's muted.
Hang on 1 minute. He's having trouble unmuting. Let me get him fixed.
Okay.
All right, he is now unmuted.
Commissioner Light?
Yes.
Okay, we have 4 yes, 1 absent.
All right, that motion passes, and we have an approval of this general fund, the public. I just will remind you that we did on Friday approve the drug fund and both debt service and rural debt service, and that debt service was approved with the $1 million transfer. So those are done. Space might be a good point. Mitch made a transfer in solid waste to bring them up into the positive realm.
Correct. We're moving 150,000 from the general fund to solid waste to shore up their fund balance.
Any questions there or a motion?
Move to approve.
We have a proper motion approved by Commissioner Wheeler,
I will second the motion.
second by Commissioner Malone. Is there any additional discussion on this? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Grandy?
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler?
Yes.
Commissioner Malone?
Yes.
Commissioner Light?
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
All right. Solid waste fund is approved. Next fund to consider is the highway fund, 131. Not a lot of changes there, but I think, Mitch, didn't we roll the salary increase back out of that also, right?
That is for publication purposes. And yes, your direction was to roll salaries back, and so we took out the 3% increase on the highway department.
Hey, Mitch, relative to the highway department and the maintenance of effort, I was scratching my head about something that was mentioned the other day about the maintenance of effort, and that on this one, it's a 5-year rolling average.
Yes, sir.
And that we had a low year that was dropping off that would reduce our maintenance of effort, or it would at least keep it from going. When I reflected back on that, I'm going, well, if we had a low year rolling off, would that not raise our average? And I may have misunderstood what was said, but.
It does raise it.
Correct. It does raise it, which reduces your spread. It requires you to put more money into it. So the problem is if you're not funding in the maintenance of effort, he loses his gas tax money.
Right.
And let's see, I haven't updated this schedule for where we are currently, but let me throw it up real quick and maybe it'll help. Yeah, this schedule goes back to May before we made these changes and picked up a little additional property tax. But at this point in time, as you can see, we had a $200,000 cushion in its projected maintenance of effort. Well, our 5-year moving average, or our total revenue, is on this line. And hopefully you can see that highlight. So you can see we're going from a $4.7 million year to now a $5.1 million. Well, when 4.7 falls off and 5.7 comes on, and I don't have it for presentation.
Our average goes up.
Average goes up, which is cushion goes down, and actually under a couple of scenarios, it ends up being negative, where you've got to actually put more money in, local money in. So that's just the general idea. We're good. I mean, we're good for FY21. you know, the thing to do is to the extent you can is keep those local taxes from rising dramatically. As you can see, we went, well, it had to do with the move of a penny from 4.7 to 5 million. The year that we had, if you'll recall, we had a penny in the capital projects fund to help fund bridges, and the commission chose
Join the meeting.
to move that penny at the request of the highway superintendent into the highway fund, which actually then, you know, ramped up your maintenance of effort requirement. So kind of stuck there going forward. Or no, I shouldn't say stuck, but that's where you are. Yeah, it's
All
really
right, I just,
roll that number backwards.
thank you. I had just misunderstood that from the conversation Friday, I think. And so obviously our maintenance of effort is regardless of how solid the highway fund reserve balance is.
True.
Yeah. So I think the term you used was stuck.
Well, that's probably not the best label.
Do we need a motion on the highway fund?
Typical maintenance of effort. We have a motion in a second. I think
I'd
we
say
do.
call-
Do we?
call the question.
All right, we do. We do need a motion.
I will move that we approve the highway fund as presented.
Okay, we have a proper motion from Commissioner Malone, a second by Commissioner Wheeler. Any additional discussion on highway fund? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Grandy,
Yes?
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Light,
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, we have approval for the highway fund to publish. The last of our funds or these capital projects funds. We'll start with the general government fund. Does anybody have any questions on that? I don't think, other than the transfer, which is shown here. Really, I don't think there's any other changes that we made.
Was the transfer from the fund balance, or did we move one of the projects?
We didn't move a project. We actually moved funds, Commissioner Wheeler. General government, $750,000. Schools, $250,000.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You'll recall from our discussion on Friday, we're actually moving FY21 revenue. And that's why we splitting it, I believe, you know, 750 and 250 because of we were just grabbing that non-property tax revenue and transferring it.
Which will shift the scheduling of projects and so forth, but we can come back to that.
It did move one school project back 1 year, or a portion of it, I should say. I think the Lamar HVAC and maybe door controls. Either Lamar or Fall Branch, I don't remember. We can pull it up and look at it. You know, again, it's all, and those specific projects all still have to be, you know, requested by the Board of Education and then approved by the county commission. So we're just trying to get the number for them to be able to use.
Okay, so we're considering the general government capital projects fund now. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All right, we have a proper motion for approval from Commissioner Wheeler. Is there a second? Commissioner Malone with that second. Thank you. Any additional discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Grandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Light,
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
All right. General government capital projects will move forward to publication. And finally, the school education capital projects budget. Discussion or a motion?
Motion to approve is presented.
Commissioner Malone with the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Wheeler with that second. Any additional discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Grandy,
Yes?
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner Malone,
Yes.
Commissioner Light,
Yes.
4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay. Education capital projects budget will move forward to publication. That actually brings us back to the end of our task for this morning. Were there any additional issues from the budget committee? Are there any things specifically you'd like to see on Wednesday's meeting as a follow-up to any of this? So feel free to let us know if that changes.
Mayor, this is Rick Hawkins. I've got a question. Would you just let me know when the appropriate time to ask that is?
All right, is there anything else from the commission? Rick, you're recognized.
Okay, you mentioned a drug fund transfer earlier. It kind of went by pretty fast. What was that exactly? It was for the first of the meeting there?
Actually, the drug fund was approved, as it was submitted last Friday.
Oh, okay.
There were no changes to it.
Yeah, Rick, that fund's using, right now, got it set to use about 74,000 of the drug fund reserve balance. So the budget that you and Lita submitted is what they approved Friday.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, any other questions from anyone? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
See you Wednesday.
Thanks for all the work.
Thank you.